I had a boss that told me like you need to think of every out like kind of cold call conversation like you're earning the next 30 seconds. Like you need to think in like
Oh,
30-second increments. So if if you get someone to answer the phone and not hang up, then you need
yeah,
someone to get 30 more seconds, and then you need someone to get 30 more seconds, and then probably 30 more seconds, and then you can maybe book a demo or book a discovery call or whatever. And so it's really
that's really
thinking
cool.
about like, really tiny little timelines. And it helps, I think, to sharpen your message and to get people excited about what you have to say.
What are your tips for new salespeople, just in general, trying to deal with a customer for the first time? Do you have general advice, or does anything come up kind of as you onboard new people to your team?
Yeah, I mean, at my current company, we're onboarding people that have quite a bit of experience as we've been hiring for like kind of the enterprise level, the more experienced level sales roles.
Uh,
But throughout my career, I've done a ton of onboarding and training of new reps, whether they're new to sales or fresh out of college. And I think a couple of the things that have always really stuck with me is number one, like showing genuine curiosity makes such a huge difference. There's sort of this adage of like people buy from people that they like, and I think that that's
yeah.
true, but I think that it misses the point of how do you get someone to like you. And like one of the core ways to do that is to be really genuinely curious about the person that you're talking to. So I've always been a huge believer in having really great discovery questions, asking a ton of questions, showing genuine interest in the answers that you're getting. That tends to really break down barriers and walls between the salesperson and a prospect, and it helps the conversation and the deal flow a lot smoother.
All right, let's start it up and we will see what happens.
Sounds good.
Hey there. How's it going?
Hey there, John. Good to have a chance to chat with you again. How's everything going on your end?
Oh, just the usual. Busy with work and all that. But can't complain. Life is good. How about you?
Okay, so do you have any advice here on just kind of a bit of this banter that we will have before we get into kind of business itself? Um, it's something that kind of steers it away from talking about the weather, but still helps you build rapport.
Yeah, this is tough because it really does depend on the prospect. Some people love to kind of have that back and forth and do some casual banter and some conversation. Some people want to get right to business. Um, he asked you a question about how things are going. I think you could give him like a kind of a similar answer, say like, hey, things are good. And then what I kind of like to do is, you might say like, um, you know, before we get started, is there anything specific that you think I should know, and kind of like open it up to him and then
Oh,
see, oh, maybe he'll take it more personal stuff. Maybe he'll take it right to business. And you can put the ball somewhat in their court to get an idea of where they want the conversation to go.
okay, that's a really cool tip. All good on this end as well, John. It's been a busy week, but I've had a chance to catch up with a couple old friends, so that's always a nice surprise. And just before we get into things here, anything on your end that I should know about?
Not really. Just excited to learn more about your company's pens. I'm a bit of a pen enthusiast myself. So this should be interesting.
Okay, I might have thrown it off by pausing it in the middle of what he was trying to say there. Okay,
That's
so
all right. So this is super interesting. So like he he's a pen enthusiast, which is awesome. So like he's giving you something that you can like build rapport on and like work with. Like he's a pen enthusiast, you're a pen salesperson. Um, so I think the cool thing here, and like he also mentioned that like he doesn't want the meeting to take too long. So I think like kind of upfront, you have some really good info about like he he loves pens. He's excited to talk to you, but he doesn't want it to take too long. So I'm not sure like what your gut read on this would be, but I would certainly say something like, hey, like that's great to know. It's always awesome to talk to a fellow pen enthusiast. I'm really excited to chat with you as well. I have a few questions to ensure that like this won't take too much of your time, and I'm excited to show you the value that we can provide. Something like that.
okay, I really like that. That's extremely helpful.
I had a boss that told me like you need to think of every out like kind of cold call conversation like you're earning the next 30 seconds. Like you need to think in like
Oh,
30-second increments. So if you get someone to answer the phone and not hang up, then you need someone to get 30 more seconds, and then you need someone to get 30 more seconds, and then probably 30 more seconds, and then you can maybe book a demo or book a discovery call or whatever. And so it's really
That's really
thinking
cool.
about like really tiny little timelines. And it helps, I think, to sharpen your message and to get people excited about what you have to say.
Hi there. How's it going?
It's going great. My name is Imran. Thanks for coming into Quillworks today. What's your name and what brought you by?
My name's John, and I'm just browsing around. I'm a collector of pens, and I heard Quillworks is the place to be for that.
You know, hey, like that's great to know. It's always awesome to talk to a fellow pen enthusiast. I'm really excited to chat with you as well.
Oh, that's great. I'm happy to hear that you've heard about Quillworks, and it's always nice to meet a fellow kind of pen enthusiast. Do you have a favorite pen right now in your collection?
It's tough to pick just one favorite. You know? But I do have this vintage fountain pen that my grandfather gave me, and it's really special to me.
That is really cool, John. So, is there something that over the years you've been looking for in a new pen that kind of brought you by today?
Yeah, I'm just looking for something new and unique to add to my collection. Something that catches my eye. You know?
Okay, I've used everything I could remember from your advice there, Josh.
That's perfect. Perfect.
Okay.
So like, I think what's so interesting about this is like, the first thing he said was like, I'm looking for some new pens. And like what you and I had kind of talked about at the top of this is like, oh, cool, look at all these pens that we have. Like, here's
Yeah,
this pen, here's this pen. And instead, by asking that question, you hear the story about the pen and his grandfather. And now he's opening up to you,
totally.
right? And you're building this relationship. And now you want something new and unique. So from here, I would be like, you know, I love that you want to expand your collection. Do you have anything specific in mind, or like what does unique look like to you? Or, you know, has anything ever caught your eye I mean, something like that, where again, like you're
Yeah.
asking another question to then get some more information.
Okay, that's great. And yeah, the advice really helped because he said something in the beginning there about he's a collector.
Yeah.
And I would have just kind of blown past that before. But then I remembered what you said and I thought, oh, let's build on that. So it was really helpful to hear that. Okay, let me see what more I can learn from him here. That's really interesting that you want to add more to your collection there, John, and that you're looking for something eye-catching.
Yeah, I just can't resist a good pen. They're like little works of art that you can use every day.
I know what you mean. So what counts as eye-catching to you? Have you seen something in the past that caught your eye, or what's that mean to you?
Not really. I like to keep an open mind and see what's out there. Maybe you have some recommendations?
At this point, I think I'd ask him about budget. So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
you could say something like, I definitely have a couple in mind that would be an amazing addition to your collection. Let me ask you this. What is your budget today for a new pen? And then see what he says.
Yeah, and that doesn't feel off-putting because it's kind of like based on what he says, like now we'll make the recommendation, but it feels
Exactly.
more
Yep.
natural at this point.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Maybe you have some recommendations? You know? It's like a work of art you can use every day.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple pens I have in mind that I'd like to show you, but let me ask you this. What is your budget for a new pen today?
I have a budget in mind, but I'm a little shy to say it. Can you show me some pens and then maybe we can talk about the prices?
Sure
Okay,
thing.
that's interesting.
Yeah,
Sure thing.
sure.
Okay. Sure, absolutely. Let me show you a couple options here. So we have this great ballpoint pen. It's called the Scribe Master, and definitely a popular pen. A good looking pen. We also have a rollerball pen. It's called the Glide Pro, and this is made out of aluminum, as you can see. So a little more eye catching. And we also have this. This is my favorite pen, the Elegance Ink Fountain Pen, and this is actually made out of titanium and one that's definitely a bit of a conversation piece.
Wow, these are all such nice pens. I'm really liking the look of that Glide Pro rollerball. Can you tell me a bit more about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, this is the one that's made out of aluminum, and it's got a gel-based ink, which makes the colors very vivid. And so you're going to see this very consistent kind of writing style. It's not going to bleed through the paper and get on the page behind it. And so yeah, I'd say it's one of the top selling pens for sure for that reason, I think.
I like the sound of that. Can I try it out and see how it feels in my hand?
Okay, so I feel like we might be narrowing in here on the Glide Pro, but any thoughts on what to do here?
So yeah, the one thing that I would say is like, so if you've got a pen enthusiast and he wants some recommendations, I think
Right.
like in that instance, like I'd probably make one recommendation,
Ah,
and see what he says about it. And I would go at the top and I'd start at like, it might be a little hokey sounding, but like for this exercise, if you've got a face-to-face rapport with a prospect like this, I might say something like, my top recommendation for you, based on the fact that you're a collector and you're looking for something eye-catching to add to your, to your pen collection, is the Elegance Ink fountain pen. This thing
right.
is gorgeous and it writes well. Like you mentioned, it's a work of art that you can use every single day. This is made of titanium, so it's going to last forever. And this is one that you could potentially pass down to your grandson one day, so that
Oh,
he's when he starts his pen collection,
that's so good.
right?
That's
Like,
really good. Yeah.
so because again, you got that information, you might as well use it. And I think like you make that recommendation, and then maybe he says, I would love to do that, but $100 is way too much. Great. I can step down and cut the price in half and give you a cheaper pen that's also beautiful. Easy sale, right? But you start at
Right.
the top and you justify it with that reason.
Mm.
And I would have loved to have seen where that would have gone.
So the mistake I made was kind of listing everything we had. I should have just focused it in on that kind of collector's specific pen. Relating it back to the grandfather and how he could do that one day is an amazing suggestion. Um, do you think I have a chance to turn it around here? So he's asking to try it. Do you think I could try saying something like
Yeah. So I would
before
say
I do
something
that?
like, yeah, I might say something like, sure, try that. And while you're trying it, I'm going to get the Elegance Ink fountain pen so you can see it as well. Like so you can try that as well and see if you can put it in his head that there's still two options out there.
Okay, okay. Sure, let me get that for you. And while you take a look at the Glide Pro, I'm actually going to grab the Elegance Ink fountain pen because it's just one worth seeing if you're a collector, John.
Oh, sure. I'm always up for seeing something new and interesting.
Okay, I feel like we have a chance here.
I'd
Can I?
ask him, yeah, I'd ask him. So I would maybe do like I'd maybe do the, you know, here, okay, like here's the Elegance Ink fountain pen. Talk about like,
Yeah.
the artistry of it, the fact that it's going to last forever. Throw in the grandson thing and see what happens.
Okay. It is definitely worth seeing this because it is just a beautiful pen. It's made out of titanium, so it's going to last a lifetime. And it's the kind of thing, you could pass down to your grandson one day the way your grandfather gave you his pen. Yeah, it's an incredible instrument.
Wow, that's really cool. I'd love to take a closer look at that one too.
Perfect. Here you go. Take a look. You'll notice a bit of a difference in the way they write. And you know, that's what makes the Elegance Ink fountain pen what it is.
Yeah, I've always loved fountain pens. There's something so elegant about the way they write. Can you tell me a bit more about the ink it uses?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a water-based ink, which is what makes it so smooth and vibrant. And that's what really makes it pop on a quality paper. So that's a little bit about about the ink itself.
Interesting. I'll have to keep that in mind. So, what's the price range for these pens?
All right, I feel like I'm gonna make an inevitable mistake here. So what are the thoughts on what to do now?
Honestly, because he's seen both, I would just be super upfront and just give him both prices. I'd say the Glide Pro is $49.99 and the Elegance Ink fountain pen is $99.99. See what he says.
Okay. The Glide Pro rollerball pen is $49.99 and the Elegance Ink fountain pen is $99.99.
I see. That Glide Pro is definitely within my budget. And that Elegance ink fountain is a bit pricier. But it does look like a really special pen.
I would ask something like, would you be willing to spend a little bit more to get such a special pen?
Well, do you think you'd be willing to spend a little bit more to get such a special pen?
I'm not sure. I mean, I'd love to have it in my collection, but I also don't want to overspend. You know?
So I would say something here like, I completely appreciate having a budget in mind and wanting to stick to it. The Glide Pro is an amazing pen, and I'm sure you'd be happy with it. But something tells me seeing the Elegance ink in your collection is going to make you happy for years to come. What do you think about that?
Okay. I'm gonna try. I have to just pause to internalize that. That's a really good way to frame it. Maybe I'll share a thought I just had. I was thinking, along the same lines, what about something like, I'm sure the Glide Pro would be a great fit, but I have a feeling you'll regret not getting the Elegance ink, or is that too aggressive?
No, it's not necessarily aggressive. What you could do to soften it is say something like, I've worked with a couple of collectors over the last few months. Many of them, like you, have been comfortable with the Glide Pro price, but every time they've come back to buy the Elegance ink because they just can't get it out of their head. Something like
Okay.
that, where it's like, instead of like you
Yeah.
kind of put them in like a cohort. So, but yeah, I mean, I love that thought.
Okay. I think so. Okay. I'm glad I talked it through with you out loud here, because I'll try your suggestion. I think that's now kind of hearing it, the way to go, and then kind of grouping him in with other collectors. Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough, John. The Glide Pro is, I can completely appreciate you wanting to stay within your budget. And the Glide Pro is a great pen for the price. What I will say is, I think if you do end up purchasing the Elegance ink, it's going to be something that you are really excited to have in your collection for years to come. And that's something that I've noticed from the other collectors who I've worked with this past month. They always come back to pick that pen up.
You're really selling me on this Elegance ink fountain pen. I'll have to think about it. But you may have just convinced me to make the investment.
Well, that's great. I think you'll be very happy with it. And, if you ever write something, bring it in. I'd love to check it out.
Thanks, Imran. I'll definitely have to come back and show you some of my writing with this new pen.
That sounds great. Well, we'll ring you up then.
Awesome. Can't wait.
That is unreal, Josh. He did it. He bought the Elegance ink. That is unreal. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was fun.
That is really cool. That felt like a turning point there where I would have kind of backed down and gone, all right, yeah, I get it. Why don't you just get the Glide Pro today and just make the sale. But I think this has an interesting lesson behind it, because this is a scenario where the more expensive product is actually the better fit for kind of who he is. He's a collector, and that Elegance ink fountain pen is something worth having in a collection. So it's a really cool thought that I'm having. I think that it's not always about price. It's really about the product that's the fit for them.
Yeah, it's also like, it's interesting, right? Like, price is what you pay, value is what you get, and I think that's like a really important thing to keep in mind, because to your point, right? If you're and this is true for shoes or hats or clothes or cars or whatever, it's like, what's crazy expensive to one person is like totally affordable to the next, and also like that emotional response that you get from something.
Right.
Clearly that like worked in your favor there. I also loved that you said, if you ever write something, I'd love for you to bring it back so I can see it. Like, that does such a great job of like emotionally investing you in his like outcome, and it
Oh,
makes
thanks.
you feel like, right, like that was amazing. Like that was perfect. And I think that was probably that tipping point. Like, because then he's like, well, yeah, if I ever write something, I'm going to bring it back. And you're like, great, I'll ring you up. Done,
Yeah, that,
done and done.
thank you. No, thank you for saying that. I think that just kind of came out from having built rapport with him and kind of feeling like I do want to see what he writes. And, this is someone who is obviously passionate about this kind of stuff. So those are cool people to meet. And thank you so much again for being part of this.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. This was
do you
fun.
have any? Oh, good. I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, it was
Any
great.
other, yeah, any other advice kind of in general as we close this off?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the stuff that we've been talking about are like really things that I believe, just, getting to know not only the business but the individual that you're working with, I think goes a really long way. That genuine curiosity, I think in this example with the pen and John, like that curiosity led you to the higher sale, and like building that rapport, and like having the that kind of those different elements that you're able to speak to. But I think like the other thing is honestly practicing like this. Like this is a cool environment with the ability to practice in it,
Yeah,
because it's very difficult. Like to role play is hard. Like it's, you kind of got to get like live reps to really get your feet under you and figure out how you want to approach something, and what verbiage and words work well in your voice, and what sounds good. So I thought it's like really cool to have this sort of like virtual environment where you have kind of a real-ish person to interact with.
yeah.
And I just think this is an awesome practice space too.